Old Cappy, back again. Back again, tell a friend. This is it. That's all I got. That's it. I had a very dark conversation with Chad Elkin. We're like, well, because Jordan Peterson came up with the concept of like, well, once you live your life, like your life should exhaust you if you lived your point and purpose and meaning in life. Then it'd be like, well, you might as well die. I'm kind of like, there's a little bit, but you guys are here. You need me. So Cappy has point and reason to live in life. Academically, theoretically at assholeconsulting.com. Anonymous writes, let me get it right there. All right. Hey, Aaron, I would like to know about some of your experiences dealing with toxic bosses. Did you have to deal with a lot of bosses who you would consider sadistic or evil? Yes. Yes, they are. Yeah. I did a video where I introduced to the listeners, and I hope every HR gal listened to it, that I was telling the truth going forth in that video about how much I hate HR people and how HR is a pox, a plague, it is a cancer upon society. And I don't think I can convey in words enough, except for the words I'm using right now, how much I hate baby boomer bosses and just what a despicable, vile, evil generation that was that lied to my generation. Man, no, I don't know. Millennials, were you lied to? Were you told to follow your heart and money would follow? Anyway, they were sadistic. They were evil. As I get older and older, I realize that from kindergarten teachers to bosses I dealt with less than a decade ago, they really need to be hunted down and talked to. And by talk, I mean, yeah, we need to have a talk. And by talk, I mean, maybe you aren't around the next day after 24 hours of a very painful experience. Did you have to deal with a lot of bosses who you would consider sadistic and evil? Yes, absolutely. That was the majority of them. There was one or two gentlemen, one woman come to mind that were legit bosses. They were actually good. The rest of them need to go for a swim to Japan without the assistance of a life raft or a life vest. What lines of, I'll just go question by question because he has a lot of individual questions. What lines of work did you have the most bad luck with toxic bosses? Finance. This is why I recommend nobody go into finance. That's why finance is a worthless degree. Finance is sales, and more recently, finance has been replaced by robo-investors and index investing. And any of these like hedge fund, dude, bro, the Wall Street dude, bro, is over. You guys are dead. Okay. The investment banker, go away. You're done. You're done. It's over. They're not going to make any more movies about Wall Street. That's for happening. What lines of work did I have the most? It was finance. Absolutely. I think finance, maybe insurance, maybe medicine has even more psychopathic people. All of you who worked in those respective industries, I'm sure you have your own opinion. Oh, what lines of work did I make? Yeah, but I think finance was probably the worst. I just made a bad choice. I should have gone nuclear engineering. And I don't know. It's an interest. I would like to say but if you were in any field from the 90s to the aughts, you dealt with boomer bosses and they all need to swim to Japan. So I think it would have been you would have dealt with psychopaths anyway. Did you ever quit a job that you liked because of a toxic boss? No, because your toxic boss makes your job insufferable. I did. No, I take that back. I did have a toxic boss. Wow, a boomer. Who would have imagined? And she was a psychopath, and she would use me as like her therapist, literally sitting in her office I remember I was young. I didn't know any better, and would just hold me as hostage and just like blah, 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 blah. A genuinely mentally ill woman, because you look back again as an adult, you look back at it like, that was unacceptable. There wouldn't be a sexual harassment complaint I could file, but there must have been some kind of thing I could have filed. And I had a great job. It was great. I was a sovereign risk analyst. I was doing, Cappy got his dream. I got to analyze economies. It was very good. Now it's coming back into fashion and people are paying me for it. Gobs, where do I live, Aaron? Give me the money. Give me the money. But yeah, I had to quit a job because she made it insufferable. I already had jobs I didn't like because the bosses made it insufferable. But yeah, I pretty much quit every job I ever had. One guy who's now dead because he was a fat, lard fuck. And he didn't deserve to die. He deserved to be tortured and eaten by ants. He deserved a way worse death than he got. His successor is still alive, and his wife I want to fuck. I know him. He's a Christian artist. He's such a Christian. He's such a good boy. You know who you are. He's probably not listening because he's not smart enough to listen. But yeah, I did quit a job because of a toxic boss. And you should quit a job that you like because of a toxic boss, because your boss makes the job not fun. Right? Not that job should be fun, but intolerable, unacceptable. Basic respect. Or did you usually just try to write it out hoping the boss would get fired, transferred, promoted? No, I never lasted that long. Never lasted that. I never worked at a large enough or good enough company where that guy, there would be an opportunity for promotion. Like that guy was it. Like that was it. I'd have to deal with that person. Large corporations wouldn't hire me because, well, I was white, 2, I was male, and 3, I went to the Carlson School of Management. If you're a white male that goes to the Carlson School of Management, you're not going to be hired because nobody knows who the Carlson School of Management is. And well, let's just admit it. You're not female or non-white, so we can't hire you. For all you business majors out there. Nobody should be majoring in business of any kind of variety, except for accounting. But especially males and especially whites and especially white males should not be going to business because they are all about the bobs and the vagine. They are all about the not white males. So you don't even bother majoring in business and you go into STEM or engineering, where it's like, okay, we know on the Facebook thing we said that minorities are encouraged to apply, but we need the STEMs and the ITs people. Even if you happen to not be a white male, you are like going to do a lot better if you major in STEM. But going on. Did you learn any techniques on how to reduce your chances of getting a toxic boss besides self-employment? No, because when I was younger, I didn't know. I really thought it was bad luck. This is why I recommend you go into the military, because like looking back, I'm like, oh, it's been corrupted since the beginning of time. Just go into the military. But I thought like, no, I just had a bad boss. I just had a bad boss. And I didn't realize that banking and finance and insurance and in general, the money industry, the finance industry attracts the most inferior scumbucket piece of shit assholes that need to swim to Japan without a life vest. So that was the only way I got out of it was self-employment. So I guess, kind of a night and day Batman Robin, black and white kind of, you either are working in finance or you get out of it through self-employment. I did that. But looking back at it academically, philosophically, theoretically, you major in STEM. You major in a field that they are so desperate to have you. I'll talk about DT, blackbrigade.org. One of the ballsiest, coolest masculine moves. He was working part-time at some government. This was even government. Or was it private sector? I can't remember, but he's working at a place. And he had the perfect setup. He was part-time. He went in at 10, got out at 2, saw his daughters off to school, welcome him back to school, a good father, a good man, a true American, which is a rare and awesome compliment nowadays. And the guy says, we need you to be full-time. And he said, okay, well, what's the pay? Well, we'll prorate your current rate, but we can only give you a 2% raise. And he looked at this, no. And because, in the employment world, no, that employment world, corporate employers don't know the word no because most of the employees are debt-laden fucks. And they were shocked. See you, bye. And he just walked away. And oh my gosh, doobie dabby, dabby doobie, they found the money. Wow. So you learn like I was saying, in engineering and all that, you just go major in the right thing and become indispensable. Reduce your chance of getting a toxic boss besides self-employment. Yeah. You be a minimalist and you have 6 months living expenses. That was my mistake. I always threw my money to pay off my mortgage early. I didn't have enough. So I always was on the cusp of needing extra money. You should have 6 months living expenses so that when you take the new job at the exciting upcoming company, you realize, oh, you're a bunch of Ivy League psychopathic fucks whose parents paid all your fucking money. Oh, bye, I'm gone. Yeah, you should be able to, you need, I call it micro fuck you money, but you need 6 months living expenses so that if a psychopathic boss ever lies to you, which will happen, and you say, oh, you lied, go fuck yourself. And you should walk in, like, if you're even there for like a day and they lie to you, like, I remember this one time, Bramer Banks, I'll mention it. I can mention Bramer Banks. Bramer, fucking no-name bank. Now, this is like 25 years ago. I walked, oh, you're going to be an intern. All they had me do, I'm in a fucking suit. And all they had me do was file. I'm like, yeah, okay, fuck you. And the HR lady, it was an HR lady. It was a lady. It was HR. Go fuck yourself. I hope you're dying of cancer right now. Or you're just dead. Yeah, she lied to me right off. And the day one, I should have just walked away and said, yeah, I'm out of here. Bye. So that's another way, like, where you avoid, and don't have any fear of collecting unemployment. One of the very few things I'll say positive about the millennial generation is they actually told the boomers to fuck off. Where they said, wait, you lied to me about this job? Yeah, I'm going to collect unemployment. Or I'll just live off the welfare or the taxpayer or whatever. So I think that's a good thing too. The nanosecond you find out that something isn't what they promised, you leave. You walk off. So that's another way to avoid toxic bosses. For example, I noticed that you are much less likely to get a toxic boss in a high volume location where the money is rolling in. Yeah, they tend to stick the low grade slot bosses in locations that have less volume. You don't want to work for startups. You don't want to work where there's not money rolling in that regard, in that sense. You don't want to work at a salon, like hair salon. You don't want to work at where you're selling cell phones. You just don't want to work at those places. Plus, the graveyard shift is wonderful for avoiding toxic bosses. Your thoughts? Yes, you work the night shift, you work the graveyard shift or the dog shift. You just avoid people. I would say if you could work the dog shift or the night shift, not have to deal with people or a boss, take your salary or hourly wage, double it because that's where you're getting paid, not to have to deal with a boss. Yeah, aside from avoiding toxic bosses, be more valuable than your boss. You got to be able to walk in like Clint Eastwood in A Fistful of Dollars, where you just play the Rojos against the Baxters. Like you're the fastest gun. And you're like, oh, is that interesting? Oh, did you say that? That's very interesting. I can't even say boomer boss because they're all dying. Like, that's very interesting, older person with gray hair. Now fuck off because you need me more than I need you. Oh, you don't like that? Oh, well, I'll go over to your competitors because they're going to pay me. You just need to be indispensable. This is why, again, guys, you got to major in STEM. Or you just have to have a skill that is in such high demand that if your boss gives you the slightest bit of guff, you tell him or her to fuck off and you go work somewhere else. It would have been such a huge psychological relief to be unburdened with me. Back in the day, I had to work in banking, and I'm like, oh God, I gotta make money. It would have just been nice for like, yeah, I could program that. Oh, you're giving me lip? Like, you don't have to. How can I put it? If you have a high enough demand and skill, you don't have to deal with the low quality, the low caste system. You don't have to deal with the drama and the bullshit and the salesmanship and the dude bro baby boomer boss. That's just beneath you. You're an engineer. Would you like me to work for you? Yes. We're not going to ask you questions about what's your favorite dog and why, and what's your favorite color and why. We don't even deal with HR. We need you because you know how to program this language, or you happen to be very skilled in CAD or whatever else it is, and you deal with the adults. And so I think that's the best way to avoid dealing with toxic bosses, that you are such a high-skilled individual, you bypass toxic bosses. And literally half the employment, if not 80% of the employment, is all toxic people just going from one job to another. The entity, the business barely makes any money. Just avoid all that shit. Soar above it. Be a U2, be an SR-71 Blackbird. You just ride over it. Oh, you have a degree in chemical engineering. Okay, well, we'll have our hiring manager, Frank, talk to you about chemical engineering stuff, and we won't have you deal with HR. And then they go to the HR bin and say, hire Frank, but I haven't done my witchcraft astrological. Shut the fuck up, you worthless fucking bint. Hire Frank. Thank you. Or Atham, our buddy Atham, who, God help him, he'll get his degree inevitably. So there we go. All right. Wow, we do have super chats. Time lapse, $5. I show my brother your channel. He said you're alt-right. Well, yes, I am alternative right. Yes, I'm not Fox News. Called your book Mein Kampf knockoff. Didn't read it. I can't convince him. Show him this. Right there, you little pussy. Hey, time lapse, brother, right there. What's it like living off of me? I'm a real man. You're a pussy. You got to live off of me because you're a parasite. And that's all communism is. Well, you did you show him that you showed your brother? You said, oh, you had it, right? Oh, okay. All right. You did your best, time lapsed. All you got to do is be better than your brother, which shouldn't be a huge hurdle. You can't convince him. Oh, tell me he's a closed-minded bigot. Tell me he is a bigot. He is. Joe Grover for $5. Emperor Cuomo has this BS again. New York upstate coronavirus. No more alcohol without food at New York bars and restaurants. Jesus Christ. Whatever few Democrats or leftists are listening, I point to you that the fascists are the anti-fascists. Oh, Republicans don't do this. Republicans are like, yeah, go do your thing. Leave people alone. Go. Yeah, what's Cuomo going to do? What do you want me to say? I'm not belittling your request. I don't know. Democrats going to tyranny? More alcohol. No more alcohol without food. What does that have to do with the coronavirus? What? David Frost for $2. Master of none, not a jack of all trades. Correct. David Frost for $5 again. Getting my NCCER certification, OSHA 10 out of high school. What construction trade should I go in? Painting, carpentry, plumbing, etc.? Not painting. That's not really a thing. I'd say plumbing or electricity. I know, Dave. Why don't you ask yourself that own question and research it for yourself? For $5, you want me to tell you what to do with your life? That's great. What's an NCCER? That sounds like a BS. NCCER. National Center for Construction, Education, and Research. Oh, man. Are you going to tell all the carpentry real men what to do because you have a management degree? Thoughts on Lincoln Project. What's the Lincoln Project? I don't know. For $2, I'll look it up. The Lincoln Project, American Political Action Committee, 2019. Prominent Republicans formulated goals to prevent the election of Donald Trump. Go ahead. That's called primaries. I think it's a waste of time. There's my answer. I think that's a waste of time. You have a primary. And I'm not against it. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. There are certainly better qualified people to run for the Republican nomination than Donald Trump. But I don't know if you got to set up a project. You just go run another candidate against Trump in the primaries, which I think the Republicans should do. But I'm not paid enough, and I don't care. All right, there you go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. See you guys later. Another video coming up soon. Toodles.